Well, A Bright Hillside in Paradise is a fictionalised story of Tasmanians living in the back blocks on the northwest coast in the 1870s, and what happened when Christian Brethren evangelists arrived unannounced in their district and held big revivals in the barns and managed to convert hundreds and hundreds of people and baptise them in the streams. And I chose that moment to write about those people living at Paradise, near Sheffield in northwest Tasmania, because I thought it seemed to me a very strange moment, and a moment from which I could think about and imagine what life was like for those people and why they reacted as they did and what was going on out there. The story of the Brethren coming to Kentish was something I'd known about since I was very young, because it was a story that my mother talked about, and there were local history books about it from her district. And way back in the 70s and 80s when I first read those histories, I just thought that was a very strange moment. And I never really thought any more about it. But a few years ago, when I decided I wanted to enrol in a Doctor of Arts at the University of Sydney, I had to come up with a project. And for reasons I can't explain, the story of the Brethren on the Northwest Coast just popped into my mind as a terrific project that could well keep me going for 3 years of research and study, and it did. So one of the things I set out to explore when I wrote the story was why the Brethren were so successful when they arrived in this district, this isolated community. And there were many reasons I've come up with and others have come up with too, but it's pretty clear that life was very, very harsh. They were basically subsistence farming with no help from the central districts, no roads, no backup, no medical help, and people lost lives, they lost children, and so these Brethren arrived and promised them, more or less, that there was a wonderful afterlife waiting for them. And this sense that if they converted, were baptised, were born again, that they could look forward to seeing their loved ones on the other side, as the old hymns went. And amongst other things, I think that must have played a large part in why they were so enthusiastic about the conversions. Yes, even though the characters in the book led hard lives, the title of the book is On a Bright Hillside in Paradise, and I wanted to convey, and I hope I conveyed through the story too, a sense of resilience and optimism. And I think my take on it is that the people in the bush took a lot of that strength from the landscape they were in. They came to love the landscape, even though they were at the same time ring-barking and clearing, making their home within the bush. It's a bit of a binary there, but as far as Mount Roland goes, the mountain that overlooks the Kentish district, even today, people who live under the aura of that mountain just love it. They treat it like a member of the family almost. It's quite amazing spiritual kind of vibe from that mountain. My mother was born in that town, and her parents too, and I knew it well as a child, and I know what people mean when they say, oh, Roland, that's our mountain. Well, the book, as it's finally made it to the shelves, is structured a bit like a sunburst. There's one main event that kicks everything off, and then we hear from 5 different people in the one family about how they felt about that event, what happened to them before and after. And I call it a starburst, but really I think it reflects the way life is, that people can go through the exact same experience, but have different reactions to it. There can be different details. One person can never really know how it is for the other person. But it's not a structure I came up with straight away. The book went through lots of different iterations and different ways of telling the story, which weren't really working for me, I thought. And then I got to the point where I decided to focus on the core event that set everything off, set off all the events in the story. And that's how I came to this particular structure. But I'm really happy with it because I think it rings true with how we experience life. And it gave me the opportunity with each retelling, even though we go over similar events, little bits can be added because different things happen to different people. So as the reader goes through, they find out a little more, a little more, a little more. And then sometimes the reader is even ahead of the character because they've been there before with another character. And I like that effect when I'm a reader too. The Penguin Literary Prize is awarded for an unpublished manuscript, and in addition to the kudos of the prize, Penguin then steps in and publishes your book, which is just life-changing for an unpublished author, and I can't thank the judges of the 2022 prize enough. And I'm sometimes asked about where I was when I found out that I'd won the prize. I'd been shortlisted. I was actually on Norfolk Island, which is a speck in the middle of the Pacific Ocean, about 1,600 kilometres from nearest landfall, and it doesn't have very good communications, and my phone didn't work, and I received an email, though, on the local Wi-Fi from the Penguin editor or publisher saying, could you give me a call? I've been trying to contact you about the Penguin Literary Prize. And I replied and said, I haven't got a phone connection. Can you email me? And she said, sure, I'll email you in the morning. So I had a very long night of wondering, well, is she calling because I won or because I didn't win? And it wasn't until the next day, and I was standing behind the motel waving my phone in the air trying to catch a Wi-Fi signal, that I finally got the news. And it's made such a huge difference, and I'm just so grateful that the story is out there for people to read now. It means so much to me.